the final business day in September and, of course, for the week. Welcome to Business Incorporated, coming to you live from Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you for joining us. I'm Chimizi Obi Iwago. On the show today, Nigeria's Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index sustains 6 months of expansion at 55.3 in September. The Africa Export-Import Bank set to list its first 5,000 depository receipts. Plus, African budget airline FastJet to raise $44 million to fund expansion in South Africa and Mozambique. We get started now from Nigeria, where the Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index for September, released by the Central Bank of Nigeria, stood at 55.3 index points in September 2017. This shows an expansion in the manufacturing sector for the 6th consecutive month. The index reflects a 1.7% growth from the 53.6 recorded in August. The latest PMI also indicates that 14 of the 16 subsectors reported growth, while the production level index for the manufacturing sector grew for the 7th consecutive month in September. 13 of the 16 manufacturing subsectors recorded increase, while 3 subsectors declined during the period under review. And to the markets now, the Nigerian stock market was in the red at intraday, trading low at 0.19%, while the market in South Africa was up 0.92%. Egypt's stock index climbed on Thursday ahead of a central bank meeting on monetary policy. The main stock index rose 1.07% as it priced in the end of the monetary and fiscal tightening period. In Kenya, that market traded low 0.99% on Thursday. Kenya's inflation fell to 7.06% year-on-year in September from 8.04% a month earlier, pushed by a fall in some food prices. In the Middle East, the banking sector helped carry the Saudi index higher after news that the government had priced a $12.5 billion international bond issue. The Riyadh index rose 0.69% on Thursday as most large-cap banks climbed following news of the successful sovereign bond sale, which attracted investor demand of around $40 billion. Shares of majority state-owned National Commercial Bank added 1.1%. The bond issue is good news for the Saudi banking sector because it will help to increase liquidity and gives the government financial room to move ahead with projects. Qatar's index lost 1.29%, heading back near a 5-year low as foreign funds intensified their selling. Banking shares were particularly weak, with Qatar National Bank dropping 1.4%. The Dubai index edged up 0.6% as shares favored by day traders outperformed large caps. Union Properties rose 1.1%, while Emma Properties lost 0.7%. In Abu Dhabi, the index fell 0.22%. Move on now to Europe, where stocks moved around the flat line in early trade as investors focused on data releases and monitored U.S. plans to overhaul the tax system. Let's talk to Conrad Busen for more. Good afternoon, Conrad. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank God it's Friday, Chimmy. Hello.
Yeah, thank God it's Friday. You can say that, but I'll be here tomorrow. Anyway, Eurozone inflation is stable at 1.5% in September, but misses forecast of 1.6%. Can you situate Germany in this inflationary story for the region and what it means for the third quarter economy?
Well, it means that Germany is on the higher end of the inflation scenario here in the Eurozone. The inflation rate here in Germany was 1.8% in September. And if we compare this to the overall 1.5% in the Eurozone, of course, this indicates that we have a bit more price pressure on consumer prices here in Germany. And that is, of course, because the economy is doing better here in Germany than in most other parts of the Eurozone. Remember how yesterday we talked about how the leading economic institutes here in Germany again have lifted their forecast for the growth of gross domestic product, the GDP, for this year. And also on the equity markets, we had a strong performance in the last 3 months, especially the month of September, which is very often a quite weak month for the stock market. in a year, but this year, during this month, the DAX has gained here, the share index, around about 6%, and many analysts and traders are convinced that we are going to see new record highs during the upcoming last quarter of this year, 2017.
Now let's look at the M&A world. Qatar Airways has bought 49% stake in AQA Holding, that's the parent company of Italy's Meridiana. What's in this business handshake for both parties?
That's a very interesting deal which has many different aspects and layers to it. Meridiana is Italy's second largest airline, and just as you know, its larger competitor Alitalia has had a lot of trouble recently with profitability. Of course, this deal with Qatar Airways now allows Meridiana to get more passengers and also airplanes that Qatar Airways will provide. For Qatar Airways, this means that the network will be larger. But this is not the most interesting aspect of this. It's very interesting to look at the men who are behind this deal. Qatar Airways, as you know, is state-owned. It's being controlled by the sheikhs in the Emirate of Qatar, by the royal family there. And Meridiana, up until now, had one single owner, and that's the Aga Khan, who is the richest man in the world, and he is the imam of the Nizara Ismailis, which is a faction of the Muslim world. And given that Qatar at the moment has a lot of trouble with its neighbor Saudi Arabia, you know, the Wahhabi fundamentalists, this deal can be seen as a statement by the Aga Khan and Qatar towards Saudi Arabia, which seems to be saying, well, you cannot control everything, you cannot control us.